Okay, I'm going to show you how to put a button onto your spreadsheet and attach a macro to it. So whenever you press the button, it'll go off and run your macro for you. And there's a couple of flavors of buttons, which is why I wanted to do this particular clip on its own. We're on the developer tab at the top here, and this is our macro business over here. So you can do your recording macros and then press your view macro thing to have a look at the macros, edit them and so forth. What we're going to look at is this little box here called control. And there's a couple of things that you need to sort of realize about this. First of all, when you hit insert, there's two flavors of controls. So you can Google why this came about. There's some historical implications in it. You've basically got two flavors and look very similar to each other. So on the form control, you've got a button here which is a form control button, and you've got a button here which is an activex control. I'm going to show you both flavors and you can decide yourself which particular one to use. I might have to split this into two clips. We're going to start with the form control. If I click that form control button, and if I just draw that button in, I don't know where would be a sensible place to put it, maybe somewhere like that. That's probably a decent place to put it. And it now says to me, what macro do you want to attach? Well, that's the macro I want to attach to it. That was the one that recorded. Hit OK. And I should be able to change the text on this by typing something like that. And that should be pretty well ready to run. So when I hover over this button, I can just basically click print, and it should run that macro for me. Give it a second, and it should eventually pop up the macro screen. There we are. My computer's been a bit slow today. So that's basically how you set that button on here. To format this, to format form controls, remember when I put over here, you've got two flavors here, form controls and activex controls. To format form controls, what you do is you're going to right click it, and if you look at format control, there are a number of things you can change, but it's nowhere near as flexible as activex controls. But there's a few things you can change here, so it can make the font 14 bold, gives me alignment of text, and I can alter the size of it, its margins, properties, and so forth. So there's a few bits and bobs that I can change on that. There we are. If I was to now show you the insert an activex control, which is this button here, and let's put this down. Oh, let's put this down here. Let's say I'm going to do a similar thing to this, but notice first of all it says command button on here, and notice this toggle button has suddenly become highlighted because I've dropped an activex control on here. And design mode is what you use when you're dealing with activex controls here, and if you press design mode, you can see now it just operates at oops, close print preview, went a bit mad there. If I press command button, close print view, oops, my fault, left a bit of code still running, wonder what was going on. So if you click on design mode, and this toggles backwards and forwards, so this is now no longer in design mode, it's not highlighted. The command button, it's got it acts like a button here, and if you press design mode, it will then allow you to do something with that control. So that's basically how design mode works with activex controls. Now what I want to do is I want to attach that, I want to basically put that macro into this command button here. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to go click onto design mode, press design mode, which allows us to do things to this button here. And if I double click on that button, it will now take me to the underlying sort of the macro language. This macro language is called VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, really common language, very easy to learn. So basically what will happen is whenever I click on that button, it's going to run this particular command. So I could have something here which just pops up a message box, something like that. And now if I go back to my spreadsheet and go out of design mode again, so it's this is looking like a button. If I click that, there we are, it just pops up that little message box for me. So basically whenever I click this button, it'll run whatever I put in that particular piece of code. So if I go back onto design mode again, double click on command, and so what I'd like to do is be able to take the instructions from the macro that I recorded and drop them inside this little subroutine here. So if I go on to module 1 and I have a look at the macro instructions I've got, You can see they're all in this this subroutine here called print sheet from this workbook, which is what we gave it. So what we want is basically this whole bunch of instructions here all the way down to where the subroutine ends, and it ends there where it says end subroutine. So if I just grab all of that there, and what I'm going to do is this. I'm just going to grab, I don't need that bit of text there telling me what's going on, all the way up to there. If I Control C, copy that, and if I go back to my here it is, Command button, Control V, paste it in there. I've now pasted all the instructions into this particular command button, and if I go back onto but one, that if I go back off design mode, this button now should behave exactly the same as print this, because they've both got the same macro instructions in them. So if I click on command 1, that should basically bounce all the way through and run that macro for us. Give it a second. There we are. It's come up with the print preview page. Okay. That's all well and good, but that seemed like a lot more effort than this particular form control here. Remember, there are two flavors here. You've got form controls and activex controls. Well, the reason being, with the activex control, there's a lot more that you can do with it. So if I go back onto design mode and click on this button, now if I do a right click, and let's have a look at some of the properties involved here. Let me just move this properties window over so you can see what's going on. We'll leave the name exactly the same. Let's change the caption, so we can change the caption to this oops as well, something like that. Change the caption to that. But now there's other things that we can do. How about we make the back color of this? I'll make this let's go to the palette and make the back color, I don't know, dark blue, and I make the fore color, let's have a look at this palette, make the fore color, I don't know, orange, and we could do auto size equals false. We'll change that so it's true, so it'll automatically expand for us, and then you can mess with font and so on and so forth. So there's a whole bunch of other things that you can do with ActiveX controls that you can't do with ordinary form controls. If I click off design mode now, I've got a button that looks a lot more wacky than the ordinary print this. So ActiveX controls do allow you to do more things. And let's just give you another example here. If I go back into design mode, click onto this, let's have a look at properties again. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll change this and let's give it an image. Let's say, have we got, oh yeah, a picture. Let's go, if I just go grab a picture and let's go get a photo of Will. That's a pretty good, and I'll change the background color to something like that, and we'll, I don't know, remove the text from it. Okay, so it just shrinks it down so it's just his image. That looks pretty good. And now we've got a picture of Will as our print button. So if I go off design mode, there we are. I can print now just by clicking onto Will's face, and it will go straight through to the print preview scheme, just like that. So there's the very quick overview of form controls versus ActiveX controls. ActiveX controls a little bit more complex to use, but there are a lot more there's a lot more things that you can do with them. Form controls, pretty straightforward, very quick to use, but they're limited in the sort of formatting that you can do. Take your pick.